Well, we're thrown back into lockdown here, and there's really nothing much to do but to vent. And today we're talking about what makes a band metal. What do you classify as metal? We're going to start off a discussion. What I want you is to comment below what you think is metal and what is your favorite metal bands, because some of your favorite metal bands aren't classified as metal apparently, according to the Metal Archives Encyclopedia. Now, in case you don't know, Metal Archives are basically an encyclopedia website talking about many metal bands from black metal, death metal, prog metal, grindcore, power metal. They do dismiss metalcore, deathcore at times, and even alternative metal and new metal. So what really irks me is that some of these bands that I'm going to mention that should be on the Metal Archives, but they aren't, and I don't understand why. In my opinion, what metal is that you know that metal derived from blues, from rock and roll, and metal derived from rock. Metal became more intense. So all these bands I'm going to mention that I discovered apparently aren't metal. For me, I think metal is the guitar tone, the drums, and also the vocals, and not to mention the intensity. Intensity makes it metal. Some of these bands that I'm going to mention should be on the Metal Archives, but they aren't. Don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing Metal Archives. I think they're a pretty great website. They have definitely gotten me into bands that I would never have discovered, but this is a form of elitism. It is. It's a form of fucking elitism. These bands I'm going to mention should be on the Metal Archives. First of all, we're talking about Avenged Sevenfold. Avenged Sevenfold isn't on Metal Archives. Now, this is a huge shock to me because Avenged Sevenfold can be pretty fucking heavy. I don't understand why they aren't on the Metal Archives, but they have some fantastic albums like City of Evil, which is heavy, Nightmares as well, which is pretty fucking heavy, guitar tones, some great solos. I mean, this is metal as anything. Avenged Sevenfold is a pretty fucking metal band, but behold, they aren't on the Metal Archives. Next up is Linkin Park, and this is a huge fucking shock for me. Linkin Park are a new metal band, and they do have some heavy songs. We're talking about I'm Giving Up. That song is fucking heavy, especially Chester Bennington's Elongated Scream on that song. Linkin Park is a pretty solid band in my opinion, and I just think they are disrespected by the Metal Archives not giving Linkin Park a chance. I don't know what the moderators are thinking, but yeah, Linkin Park, the legendary new metal band, is not on Metal Archives. Next up is one of the biggest metal bands, one of the biggest fucking metal bands in the world right now. And for those that are commenting that they're not metal, well, you can stick a breadstick up your ass. It's Slipknot. Slipknot apparently aren't metal. They aren't, and they aren't classified as metal on the Metal Archives. You can also throw them in with heavy metal, alternative metal, and yeah, so Slipknot apparently aren't metal. So that's a huge surprise. Slipknot was one of the most intense fucking bands I've ever heard in my whole fucking entire life. You'd think they would have a little bit more respect by the Metal Archives, but they don't. And Slipknot, believe it or not, isn't featured. Next up is Disturbed. Now, I can understand why Disturbed may not be on the Metal Archives, but fuck me, they have some pretty heavy songs. The album Believe, 10,000 Fists in the Air, Indestructible as well. This is not classified as metal? I don't understand why, but apparently Disturbed not in the Metal Archives. One thing that really pisses me off is one of my first metal bands I got into, and it's Korn. Korn apparently aren't metal as well. It seems like Linkin Park, Slipknot, Disturbed, Korn are all alternative metal, new metal, but they aren't classified as metal, so they aren't on the Metal Archives. But I think what really turns heads is when Korn decide to experiment, and this is when probably Metal Archives said, yeah, nah, these cunts aren't metal. They decide to make a fucking dubstep album called Path of Totality, a monstrosity. Yeah, they're not metal at all. It's not metal, fuck Korn. So another band we're talking about is Ramstein. Ramstein I thought was metal. Ramstein was definitely a gateway to many metal heads in my opinion, and Ramstein was one of my gateways to metal. And I'm shocked that Ramstein is not in the Metal Archives. Why am I shocked? is because that Ramstein can be pretty fucking heavy. The riffs on some of these songs, dude, they're so good. Sort of there, just so many great songs. Amazing albums like Mutter, they aren't classified as metal apparently. Next up, it's a huge shock. Tool isn't in the Metal Archives. Now, I'm shocked that Tool isn't in Metal Archives because Tool can be at times trippy, can take you on an adventure. Some moments on Tool can be pretty fucking heavy. And I'm surprised that albums like Lateralis, 10,000 Days, Anima, Undertow aren't classified as metal. One thing I also checked out was if Breaking Benjamin was in the Metal Archives, and behold, they aren't. I can understand why Breaking Benjamin aren't in the Metal Archives just because of the overall tone, and not to mention also the lyrics. Breaking Benjamin are a pretty good band. I would call them alternative metal still, but I can understand why they aren't in the Metal Archives. Next up, we got Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit is a new metal band. So now you are understanding why Metal Archives are dismissing the new metal bands just because they believe that new metal isn't metal. Bullet for My Valentine. One of my favorite bands in my early childhood. I need a fucking drink because I'm fucking pissed off. Apparently Bullet for My Valentine isn't metal. Now I'm shocked because you got songs like Scream, Aim, Fire, the riffs, amazing albums like Poison, Fever as well, and they're not classified as metal. I am shocked. The vocals, the screams, why isn't this classified as metal? It certainly isn't fucking hard rock, you cunts. So then I checked out Led Zeppelin. It's understandable why Led Zeppelin isn't in the Metal Archives just because they aren't metal, but I can argue that the first album by Led Zeppelin is pretty close to prototype metal. What I'm really surprised is apparently System of a Down isn't metal. Although I'm not a big fan of System of a Down, I still think they should be classified in the Metal Archives. Next up, we got Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson, the controversial figure. Yes, apparently he's not metal. Well, certainly he does stuff which is metal, like pass out in front of all the fucking crowd. More of an industrial, you could say. But yeah, in my opinion, I do believe that Marilyn Manson is metal just because of, again, the instrumentals. Marilyn Manson can be pretty fucking heavy. So next up, I checked out if Evanescence was in the Metal Archives, and behold, they aren't. I understand that Evanescence may not be in the Metal Archives. They do have some heavy songs, and at times the latest album is sort of metal, you could say, but yeah, they're still not classified as metal. So what really fucking pisses me off is apparently Parkway Drive, the Australian metalcore band, is not metal. I tell you what, those Metal Archive moderators should definitely go to a Parkway Drive concert, stand in the middle of the fucking mosh pit, and then get crushed to smithereens because they're saying that Parkway Drive isn't metal. I question, what the fuck? Ire, Reverence, fucking Horizons, that's not metal enough for you? Horizons is one of the heaviest fucking albums I've ever fucking heard in my whole fucking entire life, and Killing with a Smile as well. So why isn't Parkway Drive classified as metal? It seems like also some metalcore bands such as I Prevail as well, Bring Me the Horizon, aren't classified as metal. And Parkway Drive is also not classified as metal, which is a fucking shock. Next up is Baby Metal. Baby Metal is not classified as metal, unfortunately. And I don't understand why, because the Kami band is a pretty fucking metal band. Maybe because of Sue Metal's vocals. I don't know. They aren't real metal. Comment below and tell me how many times I say metal on this fucking video. I don't care what anyone says. Fucking Amaranth is metal. Just because of the songwriting, her vocals, his harsh, aggressive vocals, not to mention the great guitar solos, the great riffs. They incorporate poppier elements, you could say, but saying that Amaranth isn't metal, yeah, I'm really shocked about that. Next up is Black Veil Brides. Although a lot of people don't like Black Veil Brides, they are metal. What is wrong with you? Have you not heard the self-titled album, Black Veil Brides? It's a pretty fucking heavy album. The solos on this, the riffs on this. Next up is Deftones. Deftones apparently isn't metal, according to the Metal Archives. I am pretty shocked about this because Deftones do have some pretty heavy albums. Songs from White Pony, also Koi no Yakan, Diamond Eyes, Around the Fur. What the fuck? Deftones isn't metal. So next up is Five Finger Death Punch. A lot of people don't like Five Finger Death Punch, and I understand why. But to say that Five Finger Death Punch isn't classified as metal is a huge fucking shock. Apparently they classify it as hard rock. Five Finger Death Punch can be pretty fucking heavy, especially Ivan Moody's vocals and the guitar riffs. So yeah, I would classify it as Five Finger Death Punch as fucking metal. But Five Finger Death Punch isn't metal. So what really fucking surprises me is that I checked out Infant Annihilator to see if they had a Metal Archives page, and behold, they didn't. Infant Annihilator is one of the most heaviest fucking bands, one of the most brutal bands I've ever heard in my life. They aren't metal. They aren't metal apparently. So what is metal? What is metal? I thought metal was the lyrics, the guitar tone, the drums, the vocals. Apparently, Linkin Park, Korn, Slipknot aren't metal at all. Another metalcore band we're talking about is Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter isn't metal apparently, and Paul Zach D Productions will absolutely go nuts here. Yes, Demon Hunter isn't metal. Metal Archives don't classify it as Demon Hunter as anything such as heavy. Demon Hunter can be pretty fucking heavy. The band that I don't really like but I respect is the Dillinger Escape Plan. Apparently they're not metal as well. Motionless in White apparently isn't metal, which I'm absolutely gobsmacked about. Motionless in White is pretty fucking heavy, especially albums like Reincarnate, Disguise, Graveyard Shift, and even Creatures. I mean, what the fuck? How come Motionless in White isn't classified as metal? And what really bugs me is the metalcore prog band Between the Buried and Me isn't classified as metal. I'm really shocked about that. Between the Buried and Me is one of my favorites prog metal bands. Between the Buried and Me isn't on the Metal Archives. So yeah, this is a pretty fun video. Don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy Metal Archives. I think they're a pretty solid website. They have gotten me into a few other bands, and they really do help me with my album rankings as well. So kudos to the Metal Archives, but pull that breadstick far out of your ass, because most of these bands I have mentioned are metal. So comment below what you thought about this video. This is a bit of fun. I'm a bit angry at the moment just because we're in fucking lockdown again. And I will see you in the next one.